I know what you're thinking. The 1,000 times rule sounds ridiculous, like some arbitrary number pulled from a motivational seminar. I get it. We live in an age of instant gratification, a world that has conditioned us to look for the hack, the trick, the quick win. We want the cheat code for attraction, the perfect line that unlocks her desire, the 5-step plan to foolproof seduction. But let me tell you something, and I need you to listen with more than just your ears. What I'm about to break down is not some gimmick. It's not some surface-level pickup tactic to be used and discarded. It is a psychological, spiritual, and behavioral principle that, once understood and truly embodied, will flip your entire relationship with women, and, more importantly, with yourself, on its head. This rule isn't about her. It's about you. It's about a profound and deliberate process of reconditioning your masculine mind, of rewiring your deeply ingrained emotional patterns, and of creating an inner gravity so potent, so fundamentally solid, that women can't help but be pulled into your orbit. This attraction won't happen because you said the right thing, wore the right cologne, or flaunted the right watch. It will happen because you became the rare man who lives by the 1,000 times rule. And brother, that changes everything. So, what is the 1,000 times rule? In its simplest form, it's the idea that the way you respond to a woman, to her beauty, her games, her tests, her silence, her body, her unpredictable mood swings, must be practiced 1,000 times internally before it ever becomes effortless externally. This is the alchemy of masculine development. Emotional mastery through repetition, a resolute frame forged through ritual, and profound detachment achieved through exposure. You don't become a man who calmly and genuinely ignores a woman's disrespect by reading a Stoic quote on Instagram. You don't become the man who doesn't chase just because a podcast told you not to. You become that man by rehearsing the correct response, the grounded response, 1,000 times in the theater of your mind until it ceases to be a conscious choice and becomes your inherent nature. That's the genius of it. That's the hidden door. Think of yourself as a blacksmith and your character as a blade. The uninitiated man is a piece of raw, unrefined iron. He is brittle, reactive to the slightest heat, and easily bent out of shape. When the fire of a woman's attention is applied, he softens. When the hammer of her tests strikes, he deforms. When the cold water of her withdrawal shocks him, he cracks. The master blacksmith, however, knows the secret. The steel must be heated, hammered, and quenched, not once, but over and over again. Each strike of the hammer, each plunge into the cooling water, realigns the metal's internal structure, making it stronger, more resilient, more capable of holding a sharp edge. This is the 1,000 times rule. Every interaction with a woman, every emotional spike you feel, becomes a rep. Every time you pass one of her tests, you rewire your nervous system to win. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you are striking the hot iron. Here is where almost every man fails. He hears advice like, "Don't validate her too much," or "Don't chase her," and he nods in agreement. Intellectually, it makes sense. He wants to be that cool, collected man. But the moment the theory meets reality, he crumbles. The first time she goes cold and her texts become one-word answers, the first time she pulls back after a great date, the first time she posts a thirst trap and pointedly doesn't reply to your last message, he breaks. He spirals into a vortex of anxiety. He starts reacting, begging for clarity, over-explaining himself, desperately trying to prove his worth. Why? Because his body isn't trained. His conscious mind knows what to do, but his nervous system is still a slave to old programming. It's still addicted to the dopamine hit of her validation, still trapped in a mindset of scarcity, still chained to the primal fear that losing her is the end of everything. This is why the 1,000 times rule is so potent. It's not about what you do when the storm hits. It's about the training you underwent in the calm before it. It's the emotional equivalent of a pilot training in a flight simulator. You don't wait for a real engine failure at 30,000 feet to figure out how to respond. You practice the emergency protocol hundreds, thousands of times until the correct response is burned into your muscle memory. When the alarm blares in real life, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. Let's make this tangible. Each of the following is a rep. Each is a single strike of the hammer, the urge to double text when she hasn't replied for 3 hours. Rep 1. You put your phone down, walk away, and focus on a task. The compulsion to check her social media to see if she's active. Rep 2. You consciously open a book or a work document instead. The sting of jealousy when she mentions another guy. Rep 3. You remain completely unfazed, maybe even amused, because your worth is not determined by her social circle. Her. Passive-aggressive comment designed to get a reaction. Rep 4. You either ignore it or respond as if she said something completely normal, giving her bait no energy. The desire to apologize for something you didn't do wrong, just to smooth things over. Rep 5. You hold the uncomfortable silence, letting her sit with her own mood. You do this again and again and again, 1,000 times. It's brutal. It's monotonous. It requires a level of self-awareness most men are unwilling to cultivate. But through this volume of practice, something miraculous happens. What was once an act of iron-willed discipline becomes your default setting. It's no longer a choice to not chase. It's simply who you are. The urge to react diminishes until it's a faint whisper, easily ignored. This, my friend, is identity-level change. And that is what truly, deeply attracts her. Not your words, not your looks, but your unshakable emotional consistency, your grounded masculinity, your presence that feels like a mountain in the midst of her emotional weather. That is what she feels. That is what she respects. And, ultimately, that is what she is biologically wired to submit to. You're no longer a participant in her emotional drama. You are the calm, unmoving stage on which it plays out. Most men are too reactive to be desirable long-term. They are too easy to provoke, too hungry for reassurance, too eager to prove they're not like other guys. Every time you act from that space of need, she sees it, she feels it, and her attraction dies a slow, silent death. But the man who practices the 1,000 times rule? He's seen this game before. He doesn't rush to respond. He lets her moods pass like clouds. He gives her space without an ounce of panic. He praises sparingly, making his validation a rare and valuable gift. And when she tries to test his value, he remains calm, because he's rehearsed this. He's been here before, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That is the man she chases. That is the man she can't replace. Once the foundation of the 1,000 times rule is forged within you, its effects begin to radiate outward, fundamentally altering the dynamics of your interactions not just with women, but with the world. This is where you move from the blacksmith's workshop to the battlefield of life, wielding a blade of character that has been tempered and sharpened through relentless repetition. This is where you begin to wield the gravity of presence. Let's talk about a woman's tests with more clarity. Men often interpret these as malicious, manipulative games. While they can sometimes be, more often than not, they are a subconscious, biological vetting process. A woman's psyche is constantly, silently asking, is he strong? Is he stable? Can he lead? Can he handle my chaos without becoming chaotic himself? Is he safe? She will never articulate this, but she will feel for the answer by pushing against you. This can manifest in countless ways. The disrespect test, where she makes a backhanded compliment. The jealousy test, where she casually mentions an ex or a male admirer. The silence test, where she pulls away to see if you'll panic. And chase, the chaos test, where she creates drama to see if you'll get swept up in it. The untrained man fails every single time. He either becomes angry and defensive, proving he's easily provoked, or he becomes weak and supplicating, proving he lacks a backbone. The man forged by the 1,000 times rule understands a critical truth. You do not pass the test by finding the clever retort. You pass the test by not flinching. Your victory is in your non-reaction. When she prods, you are amused. When she pulls away, you are occupied with your purpose. When she creates chaos, you are the calm eye of the storm. Her subconscious registers this not as a tactic, but as your core identity. The message she receives is deafeningly clear. This one is different. He cannot be moved. This is the key to understanding the intoxicating nature of earned validation. Validation isn't inherently bad. It is the currency of connection. But like any currency, its value is determined by its scarcity and the strength of the institution backing it. When you give it away freely, complimenting her constantly, reassuring her endlessly, always being available, it becomes worthless. You are a failed state printing money, leading to hyperinflation where your words have no value. The 1,000 times rule teaches you to become the Fort Knox of validation. It is rare, it is guarded, and it is only given when it is genuinely earned through her actions, her loyalty, her investment in you. When you do give a compliment, it lands with the weight of 1,000 unspoken ones. When you do offer your time and attention, it feels like a gift, not an entitlement. You rob her of the very experience she craves, the pursuit of a worthy man's respect, when you hand it over before the race has even begun. Women don't want to be the prize. They want to win the prize, and that prize is your unwavering masculine presence. This principle extends far beyond the initial stages of dating. It's the silent force that maintains attraction for years, even decades. You ever wonder why the nice guy who gives his wife everything she wants often ends up cheated on or in a dead bedroom? It's because he stopped being the man she fell for. He lost his edge. He became a service provider instead of a leader. He stopped practicing his reps. The 1,000 times rule is brutal. It doesn't care about your mood, how hard your day was, or your good intentions. It demands that you remain the mountain, that you hold your frame in arguments, in silence, in temptation, in confusion. She doesn't want your openness if it's rooted in weakness. She wants your guidance. You can't give that to her if you're constantly seeking her praise like a dog looking for a treat. You build that strength in the shadows by choosing to be grounded again and again. Consider the aftermath of a breakup. Most men spiral into a black hole of despair. Their entire identity, which was precariously balanced on her approval, collapses. They beg, they plead, they send long, pathetic paragraphs. But the man who has lived the 1,000 times rule has seen this moment 1,000 times before. Not with her, perhaps, but with 1,000 internal cravings for validation that he consciously chose to deny. He has practiced being alone. He has rehearsed being unvalidated. When she walks away, he does not fall apart. He feels the pain, yes, but he returns to his mission. He focuses harder on his work, he deepens his connections with his brothers, he sharpens his mind and body at the gym. And ironically, it is this very resilience, this powerful silence, that becomes a deafening roar in her mind. That's when she starts to miss him. Not because he begged, but because his strength in her absence proved his strength was never about her in the first place. This is the ultimate secret. The man who masters this rule doesn't just win with women. He wins at life. The world doesn't reward the man who reacts to every headline, every market fluctuation, every criticism. It rewards the unmoved man. The man who learns to control his impulses learns to endure discomfort for long-term power. This is the man who builds a business brick by brick while others chase get-rich-quick schemes. This is the man who stays disciplined in his investments while others panic sell at the first dip. This is the man who can navigate a corporate boardroom with the same calm he navigates a woman's emotional test. The underlying skill is identical, the mastery of one's own internal state. So, yes, the 1,000 times rule sounds stupidly simple. It sounds slow. It sounds repetitive and unromantic. But romance without structure is chaos. Love without an edge is weakness. This rule provides the masculine structure required to hold a woman's love, not for a moment, but for a lifetime. You want to be unforgettable? Live the 1,000 times rule. Be the man who didn't flinch. Be the man who didn't beg. Be the man who was willing to walk away calmly and never look back. That is the memory that will haunt her. That is the standard against which she will compare every other man. That is the masculine ghost that will live in her head forever. You don't need her to choose you anymore, because in the process of 1,000 small silent victories, you have already chosen yourself. And that, brother, is the most attractive energy on earth.